there's a lot of networks out there, a lot of social media sites. Obviously Facebook, Twitter, Google Plus, Google Places are kind of the big three that everybody talks about. But then we hear things like Pinterest or Vine with Twitter, Instagram. There's a number of other social media platforms. Which ones should I as a dealer be on? And when do I know that these new social media platforms are ready enough or mature enough for me to get on? I mean, Pinterest had huge growth right out of the gates, but some of the other ones haven't. I mean, where do you draw that line?
Well, I kind of call like Instagram and Pinterest like boutique platforms.
Okay.
Kind of those ones that when you're kind of got the big three, I mean, Google Plus, would be number 4 on my list. It's great, SEO, all that stuff, but Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. I mean, those are, you got your highest influx in the last 3 months on Facebook was over the age of 55. So people saying, hey, no, this is just for young people, those days are over.
Absolutely.
Kids, parents are on there stalking their kids. I mean, whatever, the people are online and they're going on it in droves. Actually, a friend of mine a couple weeks ago said, I went to call home, his parents live in a different province, and he's like, Mom, you don't call me anymore. His mom says, well, I see everything on Facebook. So, that's where people are, and I think that you should start out with Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. Video, in my opinion, if you really want to tell a story, there's no, it's powerful.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's authentic, it's right there. There was a saying I read the other day, and it says, don't let perfection hinder you. Intent is king, which means that people say, well, geez, what if my YouTube video or it's squabbly all over? Like, where do we start? So let's not start at all.
Absolutely.
Wrong mentality. Just start. I mean, some of my stuff, it's horrible. Still to this day, my YouTube videos, like I'm trying, but you're putting in the effort. And we all know that, it's like a craft. I mean, you'll get better and better and better, but you're still making that intent. So start with, Twitter, Facebook, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube. Pinterest is huge, 90% female, almost.
Yeah, absolutely.
So if you got, a certain product or deal that's catered to females, I mean, they're pinning, they're on their boards. You can find recipes, everything on Pinterest. Instagram, people love photos.
100%.
Photo junkie. It's huge. You got zillions of people on Instagram. We're marketing cars. It's not like we're marketing something boring.
No.
And I think a lot of dealers forget that. We're marketing cars. This is fun. First of all, it's the second largest purchase a human being will ever make. And I mean, the last point on that is it's cars. The engineering, the sleekness of it, the way it's built, the way it's designed. I mean, you can have a lot of fun with these things. And, a lot of dealers, they're very stringent. Have some fun with it, build value, do car seat clinics, wherever your target area is, build value with these cars, get into the community. Because once you get into the community, it's a great way of converting online, offline, and taking offline, online. Because now, if I was to meet Duncan on Twitter, and then we meet in person, I guarantee our relationship is much more impacted because we've actually met in person. It's almost like speed dating.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, by the time you meet somebody, it's like, oh, hey man, I see your LinkedIn, so you're doing this, or hey, you got your little avatar there. Are you really bald in real life? Yeah, I mean, but a lot of about somebody prior to ever meeting them. So almost when you meet them, it's like you kind of know them. Which, if we talk about sales, I mean, that's such a warm sale.
Absolutely.
That huge mystique is now gone, and you can actually say, hey man, what's up? Nice and casual.
I really like that. And I like what you said earlier about intent is king. And sometimes I think I look at perfection as the enemy of good. And I think just start. You're gonna make some mistakes, but fail faster so that you can learn from these mistakes and get better quickly. I guess we kind of touched upon earlier who should be doing this at the dealership level, right?
Yep.
You don't want to just pile it onto the sales manager. They have enough responsibilities.
Yep.
Maybe it's something you don't just give to the receptionist or you give to the youngest person you've hired. You want to give it to someone who wants to do it. But I guess the second part of this question, should people be paying for this service? Should they be doing it in dealership? What kind of amount of money should they be dedicating to it? What are your thoughts on that?
The first step I always say is just assess where you're at. Put all your marketing and your advertising efforts just on a table and, meet with management, whatever you got to do, and just figure out where you're at. If you're really heavy into paper, or you're really heavy into TV, or you're really heavy into radio, cool, just figure out where you're at. Then choose to say, we do understand we need to have digital into our marketing game. Once you decide that, if there is somebody in the dealership currently that, very tech savvy, digital, kind of a creative person. But remember, this person is now speaking on behalf of your dealership, on behalf of your brand, on behalf of your culture. They need to understand what the heck's going on behind closed doors. If you have somebody on staff already and they're not too sure, but they have that effort, maybe look at some training. Have somebody come in, use portals. I mean, that's kind of what I did at Zender Ford. I was looking on YouTube, I was looking on Google, I was grasping any kind of educational tools possible out there. Number two is, if you decide to hire somebody to do your social media, a lot of people say, well, how the heck could they get a good sense of culture inside the dealership if they're not inside? I completely disagree, because somebody who's passionate about storytelling and marketing will really take the time to understand what you as a dealership really want to push out there as far as your message, as far as your branding, and do the due diligence to make that happen. But choose wisely. The one thing I always say is, if you got one guy doing this avenue marketing and another company doing that avenue marketing, be careful, because now we have mixed message. So if you're gonna have, say, 2, 3, 4, 5 vendors, cool, but they all need to understand, hey, I'm dealer X, and I want my voice to be like this through their channel, through this channel, through that channel. Honestly, if they don't want to play ball nicely, rearrange, because you need that consistency. And somebody, I think, as a vendor, has to respect your brand and has to respect the message that you want to push out. That's kind of where I would start. And I mean, once you get started in that, I'm sure you'll have a few different options.